Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Can It Take a K26, the show where I take a variety of Nerf blasters and see if they can be upgraded using a K26 spring. I am your host, Captain Xavier, and our first contestant today is the Nerf Raider CS35, so named of course because it is part of the clip system and came with a 35 round drum. The Raider was originally released in 2009 as part of the N-Strike series. It features a reverse plunger, which, as we know by now, does not bode well. As I said, it came with a 35 round drum. It features slam fire, has a stock mount, and came with a collapsible stock, which is really quite nice. It came in several colors. There was a clear version as well as a gear-up version. But the question we want to know is, can it take a K26? Let's find out. Bah! Alright then, we're in. And unfortunately, as expected, of course, as it is reverse plunger, there is no way to put a K26 in it. Though, I do wonder, I'm not going to try it, but I think it would actually be fairly easy to build a power stock mod for this, which for those of you who aren't familiar with it, you basically, instead of having a spring that goes around the plunger tube or in the plunger tube like on direct plungers, you have a spring that is at the back of the plunger, and you drill a hole in the back of the stock mount and the spring goes out into the stock, and that's where it actually compresses and it pushes on the reverse plunger. I know people did it for recons. I assume people probably did it for Raiders as well. Of course, you can also get upgraded springs. I don't have any springs that fit these particular plunger sizes, so there you unfortunately have it. So we'll just button it on up and move on to the next one. There you have it, a no for the Raider, and nobody's surprised. On to the next contestant. Our next contestant is, of course, the Rampage. The Rampage was, of course, the replacement to the Raider. It came out in 2012 as part of the N-Strike Elite line, and therefore, like most of the Elite line, came with a direct plunger upgrade. It came with a 25 round drum, still has slam fire, and while it has a stock mount, it did not come with a stock. The Rampage did come in a Sonic Ice variant, but what we want to know is, can it take a K26? And we also want to know if the screw holes are big enough for me to use this. Alright, we're in. Now we will see if we're going to run into the same problem we did on pretty much everything else. Yep. Fortunately, just like the Retaliator and the Elite Alpha Trooper, the K26 is too large a diameter and is going to get caught on the catch, the plunger catch. So you have to have a spring that is roughly the same diameter as this, but if you can get a heavier one, then you're fine. Unfortunately, K26 is too big. So another tragic failure of the clip system. Alright, well that is tragically another no for the clip system line. What a tragedy. On to the next contestant. Our next contestant is not actually a part of the clip system, but as we've had such abysmal luck with the clip system, I thought I would do a few that got missed in previous series because I just didn't have any of them. I thought I'd sprinkle a couple of those in towards the end of this series so we could hopefully have some success, or at least some more interesting failures. As such, our next contestant is the Snapfire, not to be confused with the Snapfire 8. The Snapfire was originally released in 2015 as part of the N-Strike series. It is essentially a straightened jolt, and as such really doesn't have the performance to be able to claim Elite status, so it is N-Strike rather than N-Strike Elite. It is direct plunger, So there's hope there. There were several color variants. There was the orange one, of course, as well as a blue and white one. They actually all came in a set. I got the orange one single because I like orange colors. So let us see if this thing can take a K26. Well, the first thing that it has that's positive is that the plunger head is in fact screwed on. But being the same size as a Jolt, the K26 will not fit into the plunger head. But let's see if we can't find something that will. Alright, well obviously it couldn't take K26 as it is, as we've established, just a modified Jolt. But I was able to add some spring, I removed the AR, and I brassed the barrel. And as a result, before modification, it was coming in at a 3 kilogram draw, firing 40 FPS, and shooting about 30 feet. Whereas after modifications, it now has about a 6 kilogram draw, shooting an average of 55 FPS, and firing almost 45 feet. So, a marked improvement, about as much as an improvement to a Jolt as one can hope. I like the color. I don't know if I will put it in my gear because it's larger than a Jolt, so it won't fit into the little Jolt holster that I have, but I might be able to fit it in there somewhere. It's actually fairly comfortable. It's a little bit small for my big hands, but there you have it. The Snapfire upgraded as about as well as can be expected. On to the next contestant. Our next contestant is the Glo Shot. The Glo Shot was originally released in 2016 as part of the N-Strike line. Also doesn't have really the performance to claim elite status, but better than the Snapfire stock anyway. It does have a direct plunger. It is not just a Jolt. It is actually more of a kind of a weak Fire Strike or Night Fighter kind of design. And, of course, being called the Glo Shot, it does light up. Not in like a flashlight. It takes 2 batteries in the handle, and then this button here causes some LEDs inside to light up and make it look slightly nifty. But it doesn't come with glow-in-the-dark rounds, and it's not designed to charge glow-in-the-dark rounds, so I really have no idea what the point is. But we are going to see if it can take K26, and if not, we're going to see what it can take. The first thing I'm going to do, I did this in the Snapfire and didn't mention it. The catch mechanism is actually slightly rounded, which of course makes it a little bit easier to pull the trigger, but it also means that it doesn't catch as well. So I'm just going to file it down a little bit, not too much. Now, for the real question, K26 or not K26, it does have a screw-on plunger head. Gosh, that makes me happy. Now, K26. No, of course not. Okay, so plunger head is too small for K26, and God, that is a tiny little spring. That is just tragic. So, first thing we want to do... Well, I committed a whoopsie. Ended up cracking the plunger tube. Hopefully it doesn't ruin it too badly. Alright, well, unfortunately, I was not able to find a really good spring upgrade, and I inadvertently ended up cracking the plunger tube in the process, so the upgrade did not go so well. The stock Glo Shot had a 4 kilogram draw, was shooting about 50 feet per second and shooting about 40 feet, so it wasn't actually that bad. However, after modding it, it now only it has a 4.7 kilogram draw, is only getting 35 FPS, and is shooting about 15 feet. So clearly the crack did bad things, and I suspect my efforts to repair said crack may have indeed made things worse, and the spring upgrade is less than impressive. So unfortunately, nothing good here. If I get a hold of another one of these, the barrel is still good, so I'd be able to just swap the barrel onto a new one, but that cracked plunger tube and poor spring upgrade is just not working out. So we'll see what happens to this one in the future. I will try to do something with it, if nothing else. There's some decent parts here. I wasn't a huge fan of the feel of it anyway. The lack of a trigger guard and the small handle are neither to my preference. So there you have it. let's recap. All right, for those of you keeping score at home, that was a no for the Reader CS35. That was a no for the Rampage. That was a no for the Snapfire, but yes to a spring upgrade and AR removal in the brass barrel. And finally, that was a no for the Glo Shot and a probably for a spring upgrade, but I don't have a suitable spring. Yes for AR and brass barrel, and unfortunately yes to a cracked plunger tube. So that's the results for today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, happen to have a Glo Shot plunger tube you have no need for, go ahead and leave those comments in the comments section below. And as always, thank you for watching.